Alright, it is Friday, 9:22 a.m. and this is the watch list. PBYA in theory could be a morning panic bounce play, or maybe something where it holds support here, the breakout level, and then maybe it breaks the highs. That would be super cool. It doesn't have to happen at all, but that could totally be the case. And the next one is HPIL. I just want to see this thing spike. I really don't have any setups in mind that I really want to trade. I might actually remove it because there's going to be resistance from this day right here. It's actually not a very good setup. I might remove that. STEV, it's just going to be a wash in theory. Maybe it can hold this 180 level and continue an uptrend, but I don't like this price action. RGBP did break out the highs right here, give or take 29 or 30-ish. I put 28. It's just a breakout. Maybe if it were to have a nice spike and then drop towards this level, sure, but I don't think that would happen. That's more of a listed stock setup. TSOI is another breakout. I'm just gonna watch it. It's up a lot from the breakout level. If you ask me, I wouldn't really be interested in just buying it unless it looks like it's gonna keep going. SHMP, maybe if it has a third day, a morning spike, that could be a setup, but that's what I have. Nothing really ideal for morning panic bounce plays, but I think the markets today look even better than it was, especially 2 days ago when there were no trades. So it's just going to be a watch. Hopefully, maybe we can have some clean setups. Alright, it is 10:25 and I want to make an update. Nope, I have not placed any orders. SHMP would have been a morning panic bounce play even though it was only up 2 days, so it was a bit speculative. This thing had a quick turnaround, a level 2 turnaround, had a gap up as well, so I was not a part of this. It did spike nicely, but it's not getting my money because it just trades like that. That's fine. Would have liked it if I was in it though, but again, that's just opening up a lot of risk trying to trade something like that on a level 2 reversal. AITX, this thing was interesting for a dip towards VWAP. It was kind of salty because I felt like I missed it right here, and it did get from 46.3 to 48, but that was all it did, and then it broke under it. It trades kind of strange. It had all this wicking price action, so I wasn't interested in it down here. It did uptrend a little bit, but now it isn't doing anything too nicely. LTNC, I was looking at this one for a dip towards VWAP too, but this one just broke under it. I didn't like the price action. And then down here there was a humongous seller on the ask, and I thought, it could be a setup. I could risk 120, and it eventually worked out when I wasn't looking. Again, there was a humongous seller on the ask, and that really kept me from it. And right now we have one at 133. In theory, if you wanted to risk 128, maybe for like a cup and handle, but I don't see those really work out that much. What really throws me off is that there's just a big seller on the ask the same way it was right here. I've said this was a much better opportunity than to try something here, which would be a potential higher low, but those things aren't really that nice. RGBP did break out of this range at 37.8, and then it broke the highs here. This one maybe could work towards a breakout. It would be a second day somewhat high. It's definitely out of this range right here, so this might not be too bad. TSOI is kind of turning around. I wouldn't want to buy this if it dips VWAP because the downtrend is very gradual. The volume isn't looking that nice either. PBYA, I was interested in it here. This thing just turned around when I wasn't looking. That was a nice move from 120 to 136. That would have been like a choppy morning panic bounce play, higher low right here, right under VWAP as well. So that's really all I have. SHMP, I was interested in this for a double bottom, but the problem is that again there is a lot of sellers on the ask, and that's just scaring me out of it. I don't want to be a part of it. In theory my entry would be at 34, but again I just don't like all these sellers down here. So really TSOI, not TSOI, I think it's RGBP. This could be the nicest one out of all of them. No trades, but this is what I'm looking at right now. It's really not that bad in terms of potential setups. In theory, I could have traded some of them, like maybe SHMP, that morning panic bounce play, but that would have been a bit risky. Alright, it is 11:48. I just had one trade and I want to go over the previous trade. RGBP was a buy at 1030, this one was a loss. I bought right here 1030, this green candle right here. So this thing had a spike, and then it had a little downtrend. It held VWAP, and then it spiked again, and then it spiked a little higher, right? So I'm in at 1030 thinking, all right, let's try to risk off of this 385 level. I would like to see this thing uptrend. Maybe it's going to build and consolidate here and then make a run for the highs. It didn't happen. What happened was that when I took the buy, there was like a million share seller that appeared on the ask, and that guy just kept wiping everybody out on the bid, just scaring a bunch of people. Eventually I had to cut the trade at 385, and that was at 32, right about here. Before it got a bit lower, it did trade at 383. Eventually that big seller left, but it did struggle, and it wasn't looking too nice anymore. It didn't have any more spikes towards the highs, and then it just broke through this level. Now it's back here. Maybe it can try to do something later in the afternoon today. That actually won't be bad, but there is still a lot of people on the ask, so maybe not. This is the next one, TSOI. I just traded this one. So I was just casually listening to a webinar and just on my phone playing a game, just not too focused to looking at the markets, especially now being midday. But I took a buy at 1144, and that was because this thing was right at its highs. There was some nice volume, there was some good price action going on, and I thought, okay, maybe this thing is going to potentially do a breakout. It could still do it right here. In theory, I could still be in the trade risking 104 flat, but I just got out of it because all of this volume was very nice and good looking. But then when I got in at 1144, you can tell right here, it really started to dry up, and the volume was horrible. So I thought, all right, let me just try to sell for a little more than what I bought, and I was able to sell at 45, so I made a little bit. I made basically nothing. It was a $300 position. It wasn't huge or anything like that. This thing can still work out. 104 can continue to hold, and it could break, but there were a lot of people on the ask. But what really got to me again here was that the volume just dried up, and I think volume is very important for this thing to break out. It looks like it might try to do that breakout. If I'm interested in it, I might take another buy and try again, but there is just a lot of people on the ask. Now I know that might be fake, but sometimes that stuff is actually real. Maybe the numbers aren't the same, the size isn't the same, but there is definitely a lot of people who seems to be wanting to sell at 105, and I don't think they're bag holders. I think those are short sellers. Yeah, so that's where I'm at the moment. I'll be looking at TSOI. Could try to do something. As for the other ones, SHMP, it eventually did turn around. Remember my talk about it, being something that could be a double bottom, and maybe my entry at 34. It got to 36, but look how dry and empty the volume is. That's so sketchy. I hope in the future there are more volume in these OTCs. And this was a double bottom. I missed it, but I don't think I would have really have traded it. Just kind of random. RGBP looks like a head and shoulders. It looks pretty bad. LTNC is fading. I was interested in it back here. I just looked away when that big seller on the ask was taken out, and it did lead it to do that nice uptrend. TSOI could do it. AITX isn't doing much. Really, TSOI is the one to look at. This did exactly what I wanted with RGBP, where it's holding this level and it breaks further. TSOI actually did it, right? Not to an exact science, but it was holding support and it made another leg up. I'll keep looking at this, but this is gonna be iffy because there is a lot of people on the ask. Alright, it is 1:15. I just came back. I didn't see any of this. This is nice. Now the thing is at 12. That's a 20% move. I did trade one more time TSOI. That was at 12.23. So that was right here, this price action, 12.23. I was in at 10.99, basically 11. And I sold at 11.16 because, even though it was breaking out a little like it would just look so nasty. It would just be a huge like 50,000 share, you know, dump right on the bid, and then it would look all weak, and then it would come back, and then it would, you know, get back together, and it was just all sketchy. So, you know, I wanted it to work immediately, and that wasn't the case. It did, I guess, save me out from here, but it continued to hold this level. This would have been hard to hold through. And then it did uptrend, break that level. And then it made, well, this is a nice confirmed breakout. One of these days I'll be able to nail it. But this one was a confirmed breakout where it breaks out past this level here, right here. And then it drops back to the breakout level. It holds support. Now it's at 12. That's pretty impressive. And I was in this thing back at 1144, which was, I was first in it in this range right here, right before it was breaking out of this level. Right, and yeah, that was around right here. It was just being all iffy, the price action. And, you know, it consolidated. I'm not really that good at holding setups for more than 5 minutes. And that's something I have to do for this type of setup. Humongous volume spike right there. But, you know, I did uptrend, which is nice. You know, even if I was still in this position, well, right now it'd be a little excessive, but even if I was, I should trade larger too. 3,000 shares, right? And I'm in that 1042. That was my entry. $312. And if I were to have sold right now, that's 40 bucks. Now, that doesn't sound too bad, but you have to imagine that the thing went up 20%. So that's kind of against really any opportunity for me to be profitable, because here, you know, I was in 5,000 shares, a larger size, at 10.99. So let's put 10.99. I don't know what happened there. 549, and now right now it's $50. Still not that much, but a lot nicer. I probably need to stop being so scared and trade larger sizes, at least $500, but I didn't. That could be a good lesson. This one had the volume to trade that much too. Really nice to see it at 12. I'm just gonna watch and see, you know, learn from it. I don't want anything to do with it. In theory, if it breaks 12 right now, maybe it can do another leg up. There is people who are supporting it, so it's a very high chance that it can do it. That's really impressive. PBYA, nothing. SHMP, unless I wanted to do that sketchy low volume buy at 34, and now it's at 37. That's sketchy. RGBP, maybe inverse head and shoulders kind of worked here, not really. 36 to 37. Maybe I would have been in at 36.3, and then I would sell at 36.8. It's not really that nice. AITX, nothing. LTNC, nothing. Low volume. It's TSOI. I want to make an update and see what this thing does later. Maybe this is the ultimate top. If I had a guess, it might try to make another run if there is a lot of people on the support, you know, a lot of people on the bid. It's still a few hours left in the day. It could do it, but I'll make an update. I think I'm up now on the day just a little bit, but I do like the fact that I tried again. I went a larger size, and I was a little more, even more cautious on when to sell, because I knew I wasn't in at the most ideal level, which would have been this 10.4 level. But I also need to just start trading larger size. I have a much larger account than what I trade. I should put in a little more effort, considering how much more trading experience I have than when I first started. But I'll just continue to take things little by little. Alright, it is 4:40 p.m. and I'm here to call it off. RGBP. It was my first trade. That was around 10:30 back here, thinking this thing, you know, had a nice spike, consolidation spike, a higher high, maybe consolidation and a follow-up. It didn't work out. You know, I bought at 88, I sold at 85. I lost like a tiny $3 there. My next two trades were with TSOI, which were profitable, and it did work out. It did break out. It did do the thing that I wanted, but I just really suck at holding these. I traded very small. I should probably just try to push myself to trade larger. 1144 was my first one. That was in and out right here, right in this range at 1042. It got as high as 1241, which is nice. It did eventually break past 12, and that was pretty nice. And then I bought and sold again. This one a larger size, more profitable. That was $8. I just need to really push myself to trade these things and hold on to them a little better. This one worked out, but I was trying to, avoid something like RGBP that failed. PBYA, oh, it looks like it uptrended towards the end of the day. That's not bad, but I don't know. Is it going to actually do it? Is it going to make a breakout, a nice run into tomorrow? Well, not tomorrow, but Monday, maybe. AITX had a nice morning spike. I wouldn't have seen this. This didn't get my attention until later when it did that dip towards VWAP right here. This did work, but it was wicky. It faded. SHMP, this one I could have in theory traded, but this would have been very hard. The double bottom did work. It just took a long time. Barely any volume there, so that would have been hard. LTNC, I guess, is trying to uptrend and regain itself. Really, that's all I got. I just need to get better at some of these new setups. I do have experience with morning panic bounce plays, but they haven't really been as clean as I would like them to be. It's been kind of off right here, but I guess that's just a sign of the market. I have to keep getting better, and not a bad way to end the week. At least I finished positive. At least I did try with RGBP, although it didn't work here. And at least I did try this, even though I didn't hold as well as I could have. Here, had I have risked, actually risked 1040, that would have allowed me to maybe be a part of this, but that would have been kind of hard. Good overall, just good experience. I have a lot of things I need to keep getting better at.